since you're in college, odds are pretty high that you might need to write a research paper that actually lists references. Now, there's lots of different ways to do that, and you want to follow your instructor's direction whenever you're writing a paper. But I'm going to show you some ways that Word can make it a little bit easier to manage. In your paper, if you go to the references section, you can choose what style. I'm using the APA style, but there's lots of other styles out there. Always do whatever your teacher instructs you. And I can manage my sources and add them in. I've already added in one source, and you'll notice that I have many master sources over here because I'm working on a master's degree and I'm continuously doing a research paper. So the nice thing is it saves all of my prior sources, so if I happen to use them again, I can select them and move them over instead of typing them in. So I'm going to add a new source by selecting New, and then I'm going to go to my OneNote notebook, and I need to add this source. Now, this is not the greatest source for a research paper because there's no date on it, and there generally should be, but it shows you how to add a source. So we're going to start with the author. The author here, and I like going into the edit section. It gives me a little bit more control. I'm going to start with the last name, Linder, first name Fanny, middle R. And I'm going to add that. And I'm going to hit OK, and then at this point I could go in and add psy.d, give her credit for her doctorate. Then the name of the web page is going to be INFJ personality type description, and the name of the website is Career Planner. It does not give me a year, month, or day, but you definitely want to include the URL, your Uniform Resource Locator, in other words, the site address. So I'm using my keyboard shortcuts to copy and paste, and I've now added that in. Now there's two places in my paper where I want to cite sources. I have a quote here by Linder. So I'm going to want to insert my source here. I'm going to go to Insert Citation, and I'm going to choose Linder Fanny, and this comes in as Linder, ND, which stands for no date. For my career options, I was using my other source from Will Gemma. So we're going to want to cite this paragraph, and then we're going to have to actually add these sources to the bottom. Generally, you're going to want them on their own page. So I'm going to choose References, and I may choose to have this also be double spaced since I did the rest of my page that way. So you can go that in and make that match, and if you wanted to, you could center those. This should be based on your style guidelines, and this is the way I take it, typically citing sources for the papers I'm writing for my master's. You'll notice there's still some errors in here. We'll correct those when we get into the grammar and spelling and style preferences in the next video.